days and weekends that I would blow on PS4 playing with friends, I start to look at that as crazy, especially when I look back and see like, okay, the last 5 years of my life went by so fast, it was a blur. Isn't it safe to say that I'm going to wake up 10 years from now and look back at this very moment and that's going to be a blur? So I decided, I got to get out. I want to make a change. I want to actually take risk in my life.
99 hustles. 99 hustles. International feed. Nick Carter. Carter. 99 hustles.
Welcome to the 99 Hustles podcast. I'm your host, Nick Carter.
And I'm your co-host, International Fees.
And we appreciate you tuning into the podcast where we make it our mission to get information and stories from the minds of successful entrepreneurs directly to you. Hear how they came up, what they went through, the highs, the lows, and the stories that define them. We hope to inspire the hustle spirit inside of you. It's free inspiration.
What else?
Motivation.
What else?
Information directly to the listeners every week.
And please do not forget to subscribe to the 99 Hustles podcast, where you can keep up with these incredible stories from incredible people. And with no further ado, let's get into this week's episode.
Let's get it. Squaw. What's up, guys? This is Nick here. Don't forget to check out 99hustlesblog.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things a part of the hustle. We show you how to get money blogging, podcasting, opening an online store, starting a digital agency, or any type of side hustle you can think of. Information is our form of reparations, and we got all the resources to help get you going. Once again, that's 99hustlesblog.com. Now, with no further ado, let's get into the episode. What's going on, world? It's the 99 Hustles podcast, back with a very special guest. We're joined by the one and only Stefan. Stefan, thank you for being on the show, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Stefan is he's done something real special here. He's taken the car rental game digital. He figured out a way how to make money online by renting his own cars through the platform called Turo. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Really excited to hear about, how Stefan got his feet wet in this. So, Stefan, if you don't mind, tell us a little about it yourself and what it is that you actually do.
Yeah, man. So Turo is one of the businesses that I run. They actually started off as kind of like what you guys talk about on your show, a side hustle. I run another business, emission inspection station. I own a few locations. That's my main business that I run on, my main hustle. And I kind of picked up Turo at the end of 2018 after I had a couple of my associates who were doing Turo, had a couple of cars on there. Nothing really crazy or nothing too big, just a small operation, couple cars. And I just kind of watched them and see what they were doing, see what kind of money they were bringing in. And I had all the pieces already ready to go. So I figured, why not give it a shot? So kind of just took a leap, didn't really have much to lose since I was already buying cars and selling cars, and we were already repairing cars, fixing on them. So it just worked out perfectly with what I already had going on. So I jumped into Turo 2018 with a small bank loan, started off with about 6 cars. And since then, we just been adding cars, rolling the revenue right back into the business. And now we're at 15 cars on Turo, and
wow, that's crazy.
I'm looking to expand more.
That's crazy. So you had a background with cars or something that you already were doing and had interest in, and then you had some people show you what they were doing. What exactly was your mission at the outset of this?
My mission beginning with the Turo?
Right.
Well, really, the kind of people I follow, and I see that my business model and what I prefer to do, I prefer cash flow.
Okay.
Some people are infatuated with an actual dollar amount. That's the amount they want. After running a couple of businesses and, getting some pretty good payouts and being at a position where I could save some money up. I just didn't get that same feeling out of saving money or hoarding money. To me, that really wasn't security. You always have that concern if something was to happen to you right now where you wasn't able to work anymore, you would pretty much see whatever money you had saved up. Let's just say you had 200, 300,000. You would pretty much start counting the days where that amount is going to come to zero. So cash really isn't power. Cash flow is power. Let's say that same situation, something was to happen to you, but you had $10,000 a month coming in cash flow. Now, even though that's $10,000 compared to $300,000, the $10,000 is actually more security because that's cash flow. It's coming every month. You can count on that money, as opposed to money you're just saving in your bank and it's not being invested. You just had that chunk of change over there. So my approach, I pretty much had like a 10-year game plan that I was going to try to get as much cash flow and assets as possible. And pretty much I started that, I said I was going to do that when I was 30 years old to 40 years old. And within that 10 years, see how much cash flowing assets I could acquire in those 10 years. So pretty much I was just looking for different places just to put my money as far as being invested. And I started off selling cars. I just had a little office. Me and my roommate went. We registered a business to sell cars. We were going to auction, just picking up cars and just adding like an extra $700, $800, $1,000, whatever we can get, just add it on top of the car and just keep going like that. So I was doing that for a couple of years, and I actually brought my cousin down from New York because he had a shop up there, and he was looking for, the next thing in his life, the next stage. So we both took the leap together. He came down over here. We opened up a shop. So
made a little family business.
Yeah, exactly. A family business, which I usually don't do. Actually, I'd rather not deal with friends and family, but we made an exception in this case. And so now pretty much we got 2 emission stations going where if the customers can't pass an emission inspection, pretty much they need repairs done, we funnel them to our shop, and which we also transfer the license over there. So we still sell the cars. So the Turo just fits in perfectly because sometimes we'll get a customer, they need repairs, we need the car for a few days, and we'll actually just throw them in a rental car. Or vice versa, we'll get a rental customer who has their vehicle at another shop and they need a rental car. And by coming to us for a rental car, we'll actually funnel them into our customer list and let them know, hey, next time we can beat your prices on this, whatever it is you need, you can come see us. And then we just acquire the customer from the rental. So it goes back and forth, man. It's a great funnel.
So
interesting.
I really like that quote. We can't keep going after that. Stefan said cash flow is more power than cash.
Yeah, that quote, isn't it usually cash is king, but it sounds like Stefan really believes cash flow is king.
Yeah, I like that. Cash flow is more powerful than cash.
It is, man. Some people say credit is king, but credit without knowledge, I know a lot of people with credit, $20,000 credit limits, they don't know what to do with that credit. They see anything other than a sure thing as a risk. So if you was to tell them to invest that credit that they had, they would more see it as a risk. They don't want to use that. They'd rather just keep it for emergency. So yes, cash flow is king, man. You can't beat cash flow. That's the number one security.
I like that.
Scared money don't make no money.
Facts. Yeah.
Scared money don't make money. And you're more scared when you don't have money coming in. And let's just say you did have that 100,000, you would be less likely to invest that money. But let's say you had that 10,000 coming every month. Even if you screwed the 100,000 up somehow, next month you got 10. After that you got 20, then 30, and so on. So cash flow, man, you can't beat that.
Keep bringing the cash in.
Yeah,
let you make more plays.
So Stefan,
exactly.
Stefan, the Turo thing. So I'm gonna be honest. I've never used the Turo app before. I've heard of it kind of in passing. Like, I guess like my understanding of Turos is kind of like the Airbnb for cars. Like, somebody can just like rent a car for a day or for a week or however long. Is that how it works? Or could you just explain a little bit, more what Turo is and, how does it work? How does it work?
Yeah, it's pretty much like you said, it's similar to Airbnb. Anybody can list their vehicle on Turo as a host, and people go on the marketplace searching for vehicles. They can put in different criteria or search results. They can narrow it down by the area they live in or the kind of vehicle they're looking for or the kind of miles allowed on the vehicle. They narrow it down, and pretty much once somebody is on the platform searching for vehicles, most likely they already have an account through Turo. So they book your vehicle however you have it set up. You could take the option for instant booking where you don't have to approve the trips. So if you have an instant book vehicle, somebody can just get on there and book it, and then you'll get the notification with the trip details. Or if you do need some kind of approval, they can send the approval over. You can check the person out. You can look at their score, like a star rating. You can read reviews that other hosts left on them, and based on their criteria, you can make a decision whether you want to accept a trip or deny it based on trip details. So it's real similar to Airbnb, just for cars.
And so you get to set your own price and everything?
We get to set our own price.
Okay.
Just recently, because Turo, like any other platform, they're constantly trying to make it better for the host and the guests. So
Gotcha.
You can set your own price. There is a little range because of high claim volumes. So sometimes you have people on there with a little more expensive cars and they want to just let it go really cheap. So now Turo is actually coming out with new rules based on the value of your car, is how cheap you could set it, because they don't want a $40,000 car on there being rented for $25 a day, gets into a crash, and now they have to follow up with a claim that's worth $40,000. It doesn't make much sense to them. But yeah, essentially you get to set your price.
Yeah. And I guess that would be my next question. So like, if I wanted to like make a couple extra dollars and like rent out my personal vehicle, right? The car that I'm driving, back and forth to work, and, I want to rent it out, one evening or one weekend. Like, what if somebody gets in a crash, my personal car? Like, so Turo covers that with an insurance claim, or does it go through your own personal insurance? Like, how does that work?
Well, when you get on the platform, there's different insurance packages, and you can opt out of their insurance, which is not advised, because a lot of insurance companies, when they find out you're doing rideshare, actually voids out your coverage. So usually it's just better to pick one of Turo's insurance packages. So the package that we go for is it's a $250 deductible, and it's a 70-30 split, meaning that we actually give Turo 30% of the profit. In return, they cover our vehicles for, I think their liability claim goes up to, I believe it's $75,000 they'll cover up to, which we never put cars worth that much on the platform, not even close anyway, so we don't really worry about that. But if you have some kind of super car,
right.
You just want to make sure that they'll only cover up to $75,000.
You might have to look into a different insurance option with them.
Yeah, and to me personally, my style of Turo, it's not really worth it to do those kind of cars. But I would love to hear somebody's input who is actually running that kind of business, because when I run the numbers and I run all the probabilities going on, it just doesn't make that much sense to be that exposed. See, the way I'm doing it, the most expensive car I have on there is worth $12,000. So
perfect. That was actually going to be my next follow-up question. That is.
Exactly.
What kind of requirements now does Turo have? Requirements in terms of the kind of vehicle, if it's within a certain year or mileage, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I think the vehicles, it can't be older than 13 years old, and it can't have more than 130,000 when initially listing it. If you list it before 130 and it goes over that, you're kind of grandfathered in. But initially, when you list it, it has to have less than 130. And we've had plenty of cars we put on there with like 127 and 128. And a couple months later, it's over 130. But because we listed it initially under 130, then we could ride it out. And I believe the age, as far as how old the car can be, I believe it's 13 years. So
that gives you a big window of kind of cars you can list on there. I mean, anything under 13 years and It sounds like the dollar amount, as long as the mileage is under 130, that's a lot of cars you can list on there. So did you find now did you find that out through somebody else? Did you learn that from someone else, or do you just start with lower end cars and just found out that it worked better?
Well, I kind of worked the numbers out, and I was kind of looking at it from a return perspective. So when I add the numbers, based on, you know, at that when I was first starting out, obviously I didn't know what the car could actually bring in. So
Right.
we just kind of did like a rough idea based on what a friend of mine, a similar car he was doing. So basically, like one of my guidelines coming in, I like the vehicle to pay for itself within a year. If not, I'll go a year and a half. But anything after that, I don't want to be. I don't want to wait 2 years just to get my initial investment back. So usually within a year, most of my vehicles will fall in that 1 year mark. Meaning, if I rent it out for a full year, I'll have my initial investment back, and I'll still have the vehicle. That's usually how I like to run this business.
Got it. And one more question about the insurance. You said you do the insurance program through Turo. Do you also have an insurance on the cars that you're using strictly for Turo elsewhere, or do you have only insurance through Turo?
Yeah, so you got to maintain insurance because in a lot of states, insurance is connected to the registration of the vehicle. So once that insurance falls off, the Department of Revenue or motor vehicles will actually get an alert that this vehicle no longer has insurance. At that point, they'll send you a notice out. So a lot of times, and then also Turo insurance doesn't kick in until somebody books the trip and the trip begins. So if you're driving that car outside of Turo and you don't really have Turo, it's kind of like a double dipping thing. It's kind of two policies that you see it. But what I like to do, since I don't really drive my Turo vehicles, I just keep a minimum liability coverage on it. And then once they're booked on Turo, I take the 70-30 plan, which some people do the 60-40 plan, which it gives you, I think the 60-40 plan, if anything happens and your car is being repaired or it gets to an accident, they'll actually cover your revenue, whatever revenue the car makes, they'll cover that if you take that package. But we prefer to do the 70-30 because, I've had about 850 trips and only like 4 of those were total losses. So we don't have a crazy high percentage of total losses. So 70-30 works great for us.
I think what's interesting about what you're doing is you're treating it like I in my mind, I can only think about Airbnb. Like people just have one place. Like I don't know too many people who treat it like a full-fledged functioning business. Like I think earlier you said invest in a car. So and you also had started out with a small fleet and then you grew your fleet. So I'm assuming that every dollar you're making from Turo, leads to you, buying more cars and just constantly building out. Like you're treating it like a real business. And I think you also mentioned that, you got started with a business loan too. So pretty much your mind state going into it from the beginning was I'm going to run this like a business. This isn't like a hobby or like a side hustle to make, just a couple extra dollars with my personal vehicle.
No. Actually, we haven't taken, since we started this business in 2018, my cousin and I, we actually haven't taken any money out this business. We just reinvested either to buy more vehicles or recently we just bought a tire machine, cost a couple of grand, but now it saves me $20 on each tire that I have to get mountain balanced. We buy new scan tools to program keys and lockout kits or lock boxes that go on the window. Sometimes we do remote handoffs where it's a late night rental and we're not over there, but the vehicle's set up. We've had pictures of check-in. We have a combination lock box. So if somebody rents it at that time, I don't have to go back out to my location. All I have to do is make sure I get a selfie picture, proving that that's them. Make sure I'm releasing the combination to the right person. And a lot of times I don't have to be there if it's after hours. But I saw that as one of the advantages we had because it's almost like Airbnb. You can go on there, you can search your market, see what other people are doing, see what the price is looking like. So when I searched my market, I noticed that a lot of people just have 1 or 2 cars in their driveway, maybe 1 or 2 pictures. There weren't, I think I might have 1 or 2 competitors, not even in my close vicinity, who are treating it like I am, like an actual business. Most people just rent a car here and there on the weekends and horrible reviews. So our whole area was pretty much open. Nobody was treating it like a business. So coming in, I did notice that. And I said, man, I'm going to capitalize on this, man. I'm going to be the first one around here to actually treat this as an actual rental business. And, now I have regulars.
You did the market research, saw that the area that you were in was lacking in this, basically smartened up and opened the market up.
Exactly. Treat it like an actual a business to where I'm not renting. Like this, not my personal car. These are strictly rental cars. Yeah. I really don't drive these cars.
Now, exactly. Earlier you mentioned that you were already in the car game and you had a couple different businesses that you were doing offline. In the next 5 years, do you see yourself transitioning more into the digital space with rentals, or do you see kind of, keeping things diversified?
My approach with the rental game, it's like everything else. People are going to complain. They're going to whine about every little thing that goes wrong. So when I was coming into this space, I just told myself, look, I don't really need this money. I have my other business. That's what really pays my bills and my living expenses. So I really don't need this money. I'm going to reinvest it. When we do start taking some profit out of this, I'm still not going to touch that money. So when I look back at it, and this was before I started the rental business, this was my thought process. I want to be able to look back in 10 to 15 years and say, I used this money, the money that I invested into the Turo business. I didn't just blow that money and walk away with nothing. I used this money to take me to the next step. That was my initial thought process. Now, actually running the business, I believe it's a business that I could scale to where I have employees and I have a nice system going to where I could do very minimal work and still make great profit. So I think I could do this business forever.
That's funny you mentioned that. One of the books that is usually a big topic of conversation is the 4-Hour Work Week. Not sure if you ever read that, but it talks a lot about. Yeah, see, exactly. And when you mentioned that you want to, have employees and then you do kind of remove yourself, systemize it, which is real important for entrepreneurs to understand that, in the beginning, you got to put in a lot of work, but if you do things the right way and you're meticulous about it, you can plan it out. You can then eventually remove yourself from it, and it still makes income for you. Passive income is a real big thing that we're trying to push out there.
Yeah. And
and actually my initially when I dig into the business, like that is more of my plan is to, when I first started these businesses, I did quickly learn that, especially rich dad, poor dad, income quadrant. So I learned that how precious your time was, and time is the only resource that you can't replace. So what good is all this hustling if you're still putting in 60, 70 hours a week with no end in sight? Then essentially you just own your job. You don't own your time still. So once I learned that concept, I made myself a 10-year plan that at the age of 40 years old, I'm pretty much not going to be my actions aren't going to be based off making money. I'm not the kind of person just sit on a beach somewhere and just not do anything. Right. But maybe I could turn to more like, just giving back to the community, sure. Stuff like that. Make my life have some actual purpose instead of just, So when I started this rental business, really I want to get into the online space. That's where I think you guys saw my YouTube channel. Right. I got a couple of things that I want to get into in the online space because I feel like, that's the new wave. That's the next generation. That's the future. That's where we're heading. And I never want to be left back in the past. So all this money right here, I'm trying to invest in that. I want to do e-commerce. I want to do, digital marketing. If I can get on YouTube and, branch out, people start reaching out to me for my content. I think I have a unique style on YouTube. I just need to find the time to polish that up, which goes hand in hand with owning my time. Once I own my time, I want to do more things like that. If I create a YouTube video, that's something that's going to be on YouTube for years and years and years to come. That's something that my kids can go and watch my YouTube video in the future. So as I get older, these are more the things that appeal to me instead of just, getting out here and making a little bit of money. It's more of those things. But at the same time, I need that security for where when I'm doing those things, I don't have to worry about bills or, all
Right.
these other crazy things.
For sure, bro. And I think for you in particular, like you said, we reached out after seeing your YouTube video, and like you have such a unique business model. I think that like I think, and it's unique and it's also simple, right? Just renting your car, and the fact that you already have experience in that game. Like if becoming like a course or like coach, creating courses and becoming like a coach, that definitely would be like I would say like could be very lucrative. You got a lot of games
Right.
in that space, man. This is a very interesting space.
No, and you mentioned
Yeah.
you mentioned just a second ago about like how your story is unique and you have an ability to tell a story that's unique. Do you mind sharing with our listeners a little bit about your story, your personal story, and how you got to the point where you're at now?
Yeah, so basically, originally, I'm from West Africa, Liberia, one of the poorest countries in the world. Left Liberia, fleeing the war, came to the United States when I was 9 years old as a refugee. Since then, man, since I came over here, it's just like, I don't know, my life had a lot of different turns. Lost my mother when I was 15 years old. That's the only parent I had. Since then, I was just like, I was to the streets, man. I was following with the wrong crowd. I think somehow I always had that entrepreneurship spirit in me. I just didn't know how to channel that the right way. So, so made a couple of bad decisions, man. And when I was 19 years old, I found myself in prison. Did a 2-year sentence, came out when I was 21. And pretty much when I came out, I just knew I didn't want to go back. I still didn't I didn't learn anything in prison. That's the scary part, because only thing it's done is just refine your skills. It just makes you a better criminal. It opens up doors to, more illegal activities. Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily, make you want to be an upstanding citizen or whatever. But I just knew I didn't want to go back.
You, right? Isn't that the whole point?
Exactly.
To rehabilitate you? Yeah.
It's supposed to, but hey, they throw you around a bunch of criminals. I don't really know how to rehabilitate, but
right. Right.
I came out. I just know I didn't want to go back. So I'm thinking, okay, the only way to keep myself out of prison is to do what everybody else does. Get a job, go to school, graduate, get a degree, get a career, retire in 30 years, and call it a day. So that was my plan. I was going to school. I was working. But then something came across my YouTube, or something came that sparked the ignition in me. It made me want to start looking for more. So as I started to find these people, like you said, Tim Ferriss, 4 Hours Work Week, Grant Cardone, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Jim Rome, I started listening to all these people. It slowly started to change my mindset, and I started to look at days and weekends that I would blow on PS4 playing with friends. I started to look at that as crazy, especially when I look back and see like, okay, the last 5 years of my life went by so fast, it was a blur. Isn't it safe to say that I'm going to wake up 10 years from now and look back at this very moment, and that's going to be a blur? So I decided, I got to get out. I want to make a change. I want to actually take risk in my life. Not anything illegal like I was doing before. I don't want to go back to prison, but I want to take risk out here. Yeah, good risk. So, I don't really see myself like, I thought I wanted to go to school and get a career, but when I'm seeing other friends or family members and going to school, coming out with master's degrees, and they hate their job and they're getting paid $30,000 a year, I'm like, that doesn't really give you much to look forward to.
Yeah.
Right.
But then I'm going online and I'm seeing 17-year-olds. I'm going online seeing 17-year-olds drop shipping, selling stuff on Amazon, making their website, affiliate marketing, making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. But nobody seems to be talking about that. Everybody just talk about the next job, the next application. I'm like, you know what, man? That's not for me.
Bro,
so that's when I made that decision, man.
That is
welcome
why.
To 99 Hustles.
Yeah, 99 Hustles. That is why we have the podcast right there, man.
To tell this story, to tell your story.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you. So your story, it hits home a little bit more with me because my family is actually from East Africa. My family's from Eritrea. And I was born here, but a lot of family friends had a very similar path that you had, where they came here, their parents don't know much about this country beyond just get here and hope that your kids make it, right? That's kind of the game plan for immigrant parents.
Hmm.
And for you to lose your mother that early, I can only imagine. Like, I don't know what I would have done at your age if I lost my parents and didn't really have any kind of proper guidance. So the fact that you hit pretty much rock bottom and then took that as an opportunity to refine your skills and then figure out what you want to do. And now you're, on a podcast talking about passive income, right? So it's crazy how
Right.
how crazy how crazy life works.
Very crazy. Very crazy. And that's a great advantage right there, man, to be at rock bottom. And a lot of people take that for granted. And that's something even moving forward. My son's about to be 1 year old at the end of this month. And I'm in a position now where, I don't have to worry about money as much. My bills are all paid. Now I'm actually investing money, not paying interest or debt. I'm investing money now. So I'm thinking of a way to give that to my son too. I don't want him being raised privileged to where, if anything happens, he feel like he's broken down.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because this is something that I've heard from a lot of, parents or, first-time parents right now when they're talking about they struggled their life, so they don't want their kids to struggle. But at the same time, how do you install that grit? How do you install that desire
balance,
to
right?
hustle?
Yeah.
Because it took you and a lot of other people to be at rock bottom because, like you said, there is an advantage because at that point you got to fight or flight, right? There's only two options. What are you going to do when you're surrounded by fear? And because you're putting your children in a position of privilege, how do you make sure they don't grow up that way? So that's very interesting. I'm hoping in a couple of years when you're basically running your own marketplace, you can come back on the show, tell us how you were able to raise your kids and install that hustle in them.
Well, yeah, man, a lot of this stuff I plan on, talk about on my actual YouTube channel. Everybody's interested in the Turo and they love to hear how you make money and they love to hear about profits and dollar signs, but there's little pieces that has to come together to form the right mentality to be able to play any of those games long term. And I saw that same correlation between a lot of different businesses. So that's why I like when somebody's talking to me about a certain business and they talk about mindset and, mindset meaning the majority of it. Because I think that's true with any like entrepreneurship venture. Of course, there's always anomalies. There's always that one person who just rolled out of bed and just made millions. So you really can't compare yourself to that person. I'm talking about the overall average. Like a lot of these people who are at the top of their games, they'll tell you that it's 80%, if not more, mentality. So I kind of want to break that down too. Even just, like my YouTube channel, I don't want to make it like actual Turo channel. I want it to be about my life, like what I'm thinking, what's going through my head. And majority of it is business related because that's pretty much what I eat, sleep, breathe is business. I could talk about this all day, but what gets me more is the self-development part, because if this opportunity would have fell in my hands when I was in my early 20s, like I would have blew it or quit or walked away. It could have went a lot of different ways, but the mentality I have now is just like I'm gonna push through anything no matter what. And that's why I feel like I can almost do any business because it's that mentality portion. If there was a business out there that's so easy and everybody can make money, then the masses are right behind you. So, it's about that mindset. So I'm trying to build an audience of people who understand this. And I feel like everybody hits that place in their life where they're searching for that. They don't know exactly what it is they're searching for, but I mean, the mind is so crazy, man. Like people who are elevated, who take their game to the next level, it's in their mindset. It's not what they're actually doing.
That's real.
Speaking of mindset, taking a look back at where you started and where you're at now, would you say you're happy?
I mean, I'm happy that I don't have to worry about where my next meal is coming from, but I'm never really satisfied. I have a long way to go. as I grow, those things keep changing. Like recently, within the last year or two, I've been crazy obsessed with what I can do going back to Africa. That's what I'm pretty much planning up to. I want to create resources, assets over here, and the next thing I want to go back to Africa and invest in there, bring some of my knowledge over there, try to create jobs over there. Just give back to my community, give back to where I came from. So as I get older, like it's that selfishness is coming out, because before it was just like, okay, I need to hoard a bunch of money. I need to have 30 times my the rule of retirement. Have 30 times your expenses invested. Okay, that's what I want to do. It's all about me. But as I get older, I'm like, you know what? I can give back. Like for kids going to prisons or people going to prison, whoever wants to listen, for me, going to prison actually might have saved my life. If I didn't go to prison, I would probably be working at some desk job that I hate right now. So, I want to set somebody else off on that same course. Exactly. I want to set somebody else off on the same course. I want to spark that interest in them. I want to let them know that, they do have hope. There is a chance, because people only want to share the negative with you. They always want to tell you what you can't do. Like, oh, you're a felon. You'll never get a job. You'll never live in this apartment. You'll never get that. And that's good. You don't need a job. Go pick up something on the side just to make some money to get by. And then, find out how you can invest, find a little bit extra money, invest that. But more importantly, invest in your mindset, your thought process, because that's the most important thing. So you don't really need a job. This is the best time to not have a job. So
talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I love what you guys are doing with the podcast, man. That's a great thing you guys are doing.
Appreciate it, man. Spoken like a true hustler. Y'all won't give me a job. That's cool. I ain't want it anyway. Like a true hustler.
Exactly.
I'm gonna make my own job.
Exactly. Man, what? This the best time to do it, man.
For sure. So with that, Stefan, what we always ask every guest that we have on our show is, what is your hustler mantra? That's kind of just like a quote or a saying or a phrase or something that you run your business based off, or like what kind of like embodies how you live your life. So what would you say is like your hustler mantra?
Be open to every opportunity, be open to every opportunity. You never know which one will turn things around. Or be open to every experience, not necessarily opportunity. Even if you don't see it as an opportunity, if it's something you can experience for the first time, take that experience, because you never know which one of those experiences will just completely turn your life around or your thought process around.
That's great.
So
man.
That's what I shared with him. Other than that, the next one, something that's really been hitting home to me. It's not a big move. Like, it's not one big leap of faith. It's small little steps in increments. So a lot of things that we have to do on a daily basis are not necessarily anything hard or grand. A lot of times they're a bunch of easy stuff, but just as easy as it is to do those easy things, it's always much easier just to do nothing. So that's one of the things that hit home with me, because sometimes, like, I got a lot of stuff to do and the little stuff keeps getting pushed back. And, in your mind, you always tell yourself, oh, that's easy. I could do that real fast. I could do that quick. It's easy, but it never gets done. So I struggled with that. Why does the easy stuff not get done? And I was listening to some Jim Rome the other day, and he pretty much laid it right out for me. The easy stuff doesn't get done because it's always easier to do nothing. So I feel like that's an issue that a lot of us face is, anything you could think of to do, bro, it's always 10 times easier to just sit on the couch or just go to sleep, not do nothing.
That's true.
So it doesn't matter how easy the task is, it's always easier to do nothing.
That's a fact.
So I feel like that's really important,
No, it's a fact. And that kind of circles back to your point before. It's like, there's always going to be people saying negative things or complaining about things. It's much easier to find something to complain about than it is to come up with a solution, right?
Exactly.
And it's been a reoccurring theme here with you, is that you're clearly a solutions-based person, and you were just always, you had all the tools. You just kind of needed some sort of spark and
mental mind state.
Right. And it's a beautiful thing to hear how far you've come. I know Nick and I really appreciated talking to you with you today. I know our audience and our fans are going to really take to this story. And again, we really look forward to hearing from you down the road. Hoping in a couple of years you can tell us about what new business venture you started. And we'll definitely be putting all your information on the 99 Hustle blog post. So Stefan, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on this episode with us today, and really look forward to hearing the rest of your story.
Yeah, man, keep up. Keep me posted. Keep in touch.
For sure.
Definitely want you guys to tune into the channel. Like I said, I have a lot of plans for that channel.
And shout out the YouTube channel for the listeners so they know where to find you.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is just pretty much my name, Stefan Marquardt, STEFAN MARQUARDT. And right now I'm getting a lot of clicks on my Turo videos. So really, if you want to find me on YouTube, just type in Turo. I'm ranking pretty good for that keyword Turo. Just type Turo in, my video pops right up, like the third or fourth one. And pretty soon you're going to see a bunch of videos on there because I am getting a lot of Turo questions. So anything Turo related, you can search me on there and my video pretty much pop up.
Cool. There you have it, man. Stefan, like Fee says, you've been a great guest. Audience, you should take away that, mental state is everything. And don't wait for doors to open for you. Build a door. Stefan's someone who creates his own opportunity, creates his own luck, regardless of a circumstance, regardless of not that resistance to following the status quo and really seeking out information and knowledge on your own. So yeah, once again, Stefan, man, appreciate you for joining us today. It's been a great episode, and 99 Hustle signing off. 99 Hustles.
Appreciate you guys having me, man. Hey, y'all be easy, man. Stay in touch.